The man's voice slices through the air like a whip. Who touched my car? You stand in the marble driveway, frozen, the afternoon sun blinding off the hood of a white Bentley so clean it reflects the mansion's pillars like mirrors. The millionaire, Grant Hensley, paces in front of it, rage flickering behind his aviator shades. His silk tie hangs loose. His drink is still in hand. Behind him, 3 house staffers exchange nervous glances, but no one dares move. Your hands are still damp from scrubbing the fountain. Soap bubbles cling to your knuckles. And then you see it. A thin, curved scratch on the passenger door, catching the light like a scar across porcelain. Answer me! Grant barks again. His voice echoes against the garage's limestone walls. No one answers. Then the head housekeeper, Mrs. Doyle, crisp uniform, brittle smile, tilts her chin toward you. It was her, sir. She was near it. All eyes pivot. Grant turns fully, eyes narrowing. You? He says, stepping closer until you smell his cologne. Sharp, metallic, expensive. Do you have any idea what this car costs? You open your mouth, but the words jam in your throat. He doesn't wait for an answer. That's 200 grand worth of paint, he hisses. And you people think it's fine to lay your hands wherever you please. The words hit harder than his tone. You people. Something in your chest tightens, but you keep your eyes down. The sun glares off the windshield. You see your reflection, brown skin, sweat, the worn apron you've had for years. You look small, disposable, like part of the background. Grant tosses his drink, glass shattering near the flower bed. Pack your things, he says flatly. You're done here. A hush falls. The other staff freeze, half relieved it isn't them, half terrified by how fast it happened. You take a slow breath, swallowing the burn in your throat. Sir, you manage softly, I didn't touch your car. Grant laughs once, low and bitter. Of course you didn't. The scratch must have walked here itself. His son, Tyler, mid-20s, smug, wearing loafers without socks, leans against a pillar, smirking. Dad, she's lucky you're not calling the cops. That's vandalism. You finally meet his eyes. It's not vandalism to stand near something, you say quietly. Tyler shrugs. Depends who's standing. For a moment, nobody moves. The gardener's hedge trimmer hums faintly in the distance. Somewhere, a bird lands on the fountain and splashes, the only sound of peace in the tension. Then you do something that catches everyone off guard. You glance up, not at Grant, but at the black security camera mounted just above the garage. Its red light blinks steadily. Grant follows your gaze and scoffs. Oh, please. You think that thing's gonna save you? But for the briefest moment, his son's expression changes. Not much, just a flicker like a shadow passing over his face. You see it. You store it away. Mrs. Doyle steps forward, clipboard clutched like a weapon. Come on, let's not waste Mr. Hensley's time. You can collect your last pay envelope from me before you leave. You nod once, still calm. But as you walk past the Bentley, your eyes trace the curve of the scratch again. Thin, deliberate, almost like it came from a key dragged in anger. Not a cleaning rag. The reflection catches something else. 2. The faintest smudge on the door handle. Not from soap, from oil. Engine oil. Grant doesn't notice. He's too busy cursing into his phone. But you do. And when you glance again toward that blinking red camera, a small, almost invisible smile tugs at the corner of your mouth, just enough to unsettle Mrs. Doyle, who frowns as if she suddenly feels she's missed something. You whisper under your breath, so softly no one hears. If walls have eyes, then truth's already watching. The wind stirs the ivy along the wall. Somewhere deep inside the mansion, a faint beep sounds, one camera light turning from red to black, but nobody notices that. Yet, the suitcase handle digs into your palm as you drag it across the marble foyer, the sound harsh and hollow in the echoing silence. Mrs. Doyle follows a few steps behind, her heels clicking like metronome ticks of judgment. You should be grateful he didn't call the police, she says crisply. You embarrassed him in front of guests last month with that attitude. You pause by the heavy front doors. Attitude? Talking back. Eye contact. The way you look at people sometimes, it reads as defiance. You almost laugh. Eye contact. That's what they call it when you refuse to look small. The maid uniform itches at your neck. You've worn worse. Kitchens that smelled like bleach. Hotels where they made you enter through side doors so guests wouldn't see the help. But this mansion, with its glass staircase and gold chandeliers, always felt different. Cleaner, quieter. Until now, Mrs. Doyle opens the front door. "Leave your keys with me. You're banned from the property." You hand her the ring, fingers steady despite the shaking underneath. Outside, the afternoon air is thick with heat. The gardeners pretend not to watch as you step off the porch. Only one man meets your eyes, Miguel, the young gardener with sunburned arms and a cautious gaze. He mouths, "You okay?" You nod. Barely. Behind you, Mrs. Doyle slams the door, and the echo rings like a verdict. By the time you reach the bus stop, your throat burns with swallowed words. You sit on the bench, suitcase at your feet, and finally breathe. The bus rumbles past, carrying tourists in sunglasses. You catch your reflection in the glass of the shelter. Tired, proud, alive. You fish inside your apron pocket and pull out a small silver token. A coin, tarnished at the edges, engraved with a pair of hands polishing a wheel. On the back, "What's clean will shine again." Your late husband Henry gave it to you the day you started working for the Hensleys. "Ain't no shame in honest work," he'd said. "You just keep polishing no matter how dirty the world gets." You rub your thumb over the engraving, the way you always do when you need courage. Your phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. "I saw what happened. It wasn't you." You blink, glance around the empty street. No one's there. Unknown. "Don't delete this message. I have proof." Your heart lurches. "Proof?" You type back, hands trembling. "You. Who is this?" No reply. The typing bubbles flicker, then vanish. A low laugh escapes you. Disbelief mixed with hope. Maybe someone did see. Maybe that little red light on the wall caught more than Grant Hensley realized. Still, you know better than to trust whispers. You've been in this world long enough to know that truth only matters when it's convenient for the powerful. Back at the mansion, Grant is in full performance mode. "You people don't understand. Accountability," he tells his guests, voice echoing through the living room. The polished marble makes his words bounce. Crisp, self-righteous, theatrical. "That car's more than metal. It's legacy." Tyler, slouched on the couch, rolls his eyes. "Dad, no one cares about a scratch," Grant snaps. "That car's worth more than everything that woman's made in her life." Silence. Even Mrs. Doyle looks uneasy, but she forces a smile and busies herself pouring more champagne. On the mantel, a row of monitors shows feeds from the estate's cameras. The pool, the gate, the garage. But one screen is black. The feed from the front drive. Grant doesn't notice. Tyler does. His gaze lingers on the blank screen longer than he should. His jaw tightens. "Something wrong, son?" Grant asks, swirling his glass. Tyler clears his throat. "Nah, just maybe you shouldn't have fired her in public like that. Looks bad if anyone posts it," Grant snorts. "Who's gonna post it? She's lucky she had a job here at all." He drains his drink and waves toward the staff. "Get that car fixed by tomorrow. I've got investors coming." Tyler stares at the screen again. One finger taps the side of his phone, slow, rhythmic. A habit he only has when he's nervous. Then quietly, he walks out of the room. The next morning, Mrs. Doyle finds something odd in the cleaning supply closet. A damp rag streaked with black oil. Not the kind used for polishing, but motor oil. She frowns, sets it aside, and makes a mental note to tell Grant. But when she steps into the hallway, she catches sight of Miguel talking softly to the mail courier. He's holding his phone low, showing a video for just a second before pocketing it. She freezes. "Miguel!" he startles. "Yes, ma'am?" "What were you showing him?" He wipes his hands on his jeans. Just football scores. Her eyes narrow. During work hours? He shrugs, too calm. Sometimes truth's worth a minute, ma'am. The phrase makes her uneasy, though she doesn't know why. She leaves, muttering about lazy workers. Miguel watches her go, then glances back at the bushes where he keeps his small solar-powered camera hidden, the one facing the driveway. The light on it blinks green. He whispers, "Let's see what they missed." At that exact moment, your phone buzzes again. Unknown. Meet me by the fountain, tonight, 8 p.m. You stare at the message, thumb frozen above the screen. The bus stop light flickers on as the sun dips below the trees. You exhale, heart pounding. The mansion's walls may have eyes, but maybe, just maybe, one of them finally saw you. By the time the clock strikes 8, the air around the Hensley mansion hums with the sound of sprinklers and distant crickets. You stand by the stone fountain, your old apron folded neatly over one arm, the silver coin warm in your palm. The fountain lights shimmer against the rippling water, gold and white like melted glass. Every instinct screams you shouldn't be here. You were fired, banned. But curiosity outweighs fear. Whoever sent that message, they know something. Something Grant doesn't. A twig snaps behind you. You whirl around, heart pounding, then exhale when you see it's only Miguel, the gardener. A soft smile tugs at his lips beneath the brim of his hat. "Didn't mean to scare you," he says. "You got my text?" Your eyes widen. "That was you?" He nods once. "I saw what happened. You didn't touch that car. You study his face. Sun-weathered, honest. How can you be sure?" He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a tiny memory card, no bigger than your fingernail. "Because my garden cam saw more than theirs did. The sound of sprinklers masks your gasp." You glance toward the mansion, where lights glow in the upper windows. "You shouldn't have that, Miguel. If they catch you—" "I know," he interrupts quietly. "But people like us, if we don't save the truth, nobody will." Something in his tone reminds you of Henry, that same gentle stubbornness. You nod slowly. "Let's see it." He hesitates. "Not yet. It's missing a piece. The footage cuts right when someone walks near the Bentley. But I think I can restore it if I get the original feed from the garage camera." You frown. "That camera was working yesterday. Not today." He points toward the dark glass dome above the garage door. "Someone shut it off." Back when you first started cleaning the Hensley estate, Grant had given you a long list of don'ts. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't linger in the garage. Too expensive in there. Don't touch the car keys. But you remembered everything. Which shelf held the cleaning spray, which switch powered which light, and which panel housed the security backup drive, a fact that might finally matter tonight. You glance again at the mansion's windows, silhouettes moving, laughter echoing faintly from a dinner party. The world that threw you out still feasting like nothing happened. Miguel looks at you. "You still have your keys?" You shake your head. "Took them." He grins faintly. "Then we'll improvise." Inside, the kitchen hums with life. Mrs. Doyle barking orders, a line of servers plating desserts. You slip through the back gate with Miguel, sticking to the hedges until you reach the small service door that opens into the laundry room. Miguel uses a trick you've seen him do before, a bent nail and patience. "The lock clicks open. You've done this before?" You whisper. He shrugs. "Lawn shed locks, mansion locks, they all scared of the same metal." You almost smile. The two of you slip in, moving through corridors lined with portraits of Grant's ancestors, all stern men in darker suits than their smiles. The hallway smells of wax and pride. As you approach the garage control room, you hear faint music. Tyler's voice, off-key, humming to his phone. You peek through the glass wall. He's sitting on the hood of the Bentley. Scrolling through his messages, earbuds in. Miguel whispers, "We'll wait." But then something catches your eye. A smudge of black on Tyler's sleeve. Oil. Faint, but unmistakable. He hops off the car and walks toward the side door, passing so close you can smell the cologne, the same kind Grant wears. His hand brushes the car key fob dangling from his pocket. You glance at Miguel. He raises an eyebrow, silently asking if you saw it too. You nod. As soon as Tyler disappears down the corridor, you and Miguel slip into the control room. The walls glow with screens, 20 angles of the estate. But like Miguel said, one feed is black. He sits quickly at the terminal, plugging in his card reader. If I pull the metadata, maybe we'll see who shut it down. You hover behind him, heart thudding, every click of the keyboard sounding like a shout. Got something, he murmurs. Look, it says camera disabled at 3:12 p.m. yesterday. That's when Grant found the scratch. You whisper. He scrolls further, eyes widening. Disabled by user. T. Hensley. You exhale. Tyler. Miguel nods grimly. He cut the feed. Before you can speak, footsteps echo from the hall. Miguel yanks the USB from the computer, slipping it into your hand. Go! I'll distract them. You freeze. What about you? Go, he repeats. If they catch us both, nothing gets out. You hesitate only a second before sprinting down the narrow corridor, shoes silent on the marble. You dart past the back stairwell, down the hall, and out into the night. Behind you, a voice booms. What are you doing here? Grant. You duck behind the fountain, breathing hard. Through the glass, you see Miguel standing in the hall, calm as stone. Just fixing the pump, sir, he says. Grant glares, suspicious. But then Tyler appears, tipsy and laughing, and the moment dissolves. Grant waves Miguel off and storms back upstairs. Miguel doesn't move until the door shuts. Then he glances toward the window, right where you're hiding, and gives a tiny nod. You clutch the USB tight. The metal is warm from his hands. Inside it lies the first thread of truth. But you know one thing. Truth alone isn't enough. In this house, it needs proof that hurts. Hours later, back in your tiny apartment, you plug the USB into your old laptop. Lines of data flicker. Security logs, timestamps, camera names. You open one file, grainy footage of the driveway, time-stamped an hour before the incident. A shadow crosses the screen. Too tall to be yours. Too quick to be the gardener's. Then, for a split second, you see the reflection in the Bentley's mirror, a young man with Grant's jawline, smirking as he drags something along the paint. The feed cuts. You lean back slowly, pulse hammering. The truth was never lost. It was edited. You whisper into the empty room. He scratched it himself. The ceiling fan hums overhead. Outside, sirens wail faintly in the distance. Another night in the city that never really sleeps. And on your cracked laptop screen, the paused image of Tyler's reflection stares back, caught forever by the camera that wasn't supposed to be recording. You smile faintly. The same small, knowing smile you gave that blinking red light yesterday. People still argue whether the universe notices injustice, you think. Maybe it does, just through lenses we don't expect. The morning after your discovery feels deceptively quiet. The city hums outside your window, buses sighing, birds arguing, sunlight leaking through blinds in thin golden stripes. You sit at the tiny kitchen table with your laptop open, the paused frame still there, Tyler's reflection bending in the Bentley's curve. The faint drag of metal against white paint. The world doesn't know it yet. But everything about yesterday's humiliation has just tilted. You sip cold coffee and think of Henry. He'd have known exactly what to do. Not rush, not panic. He used to say truths like polish. Too much too soon just smears the dirt. Your thumb grazes the coin he gave you. The engraving feels deeper today, like the metal itself remembers. You close the laptop, wrap it carefully in a towel, and slide it into your purse. One thing is clear. You need that full video, not just the reflection, and the only place it exists is still inside the Hensley mansion. By 10 a.m., Grant Hensley is on his third phone call and fourth apology. Not to you, of course, but to his insurance agent. No, we can't file a claim, he says sharply. It's vandalism, not an accident. Yes, my staff is incompetent. I already fired the woman responsible. Across the hall, Mrs. Doyle listens quietly, her expression unreadable. She's seen enough powerful men to know the tone. Defensive, performative, desperate to sound in control. When he finally hangs up, she clears her throat. "Mr. Hensley, about the garage feed," he waves her off. "Handled." Tyler said the power surge knocked it out. "He'll fix it." "Sir," she hesitates. "The gardener said something strange yesterday. About truth." Grant gives her a tired glare. "Miguel's paid to trim hedges, not philosophize. Now please, handle the staff rotation. I'm expecting guests." She nods, but as she walks away, she glances once toward the dark monitor on the wall, the one camera that still hasn't come back on. Something about the blankness unsettles her. You arrive at the estate around noon, dressed not in your uniform, but in a plain blue dress and denim jacket. You walk through the front gate as if you belong there, chin high, shoulders squared. The guard looks up, startled. "Ma'am, you're here to return company property," you interrupt smoothly, lifting your phone. "Mrs. Doyle told me to hand it to her personally. It's half a lie, but the confident tone sells it." He buzzes the gate open without another word. Inside, the marble floors gleam like ice. You can smell polish and lemon oil, the faint ghost of your own labor still in the air. Mrs. Doyle spots you immediately, jaw tightening. "You shouldn't be here." "I'm only here to return something," you say calmly. "I found this after I left." You hold out a folded microfiber cloth. Inside it, you've hidden the USB, bait if needed. Mrs. Doyle hesitates. "Wait here." She disappears upstairs, likely to fetch Grant. The moment she's gone, you move. Quietly, you cross the hall toward the garage wing. Each step feels like walking on glass. The control room door is still slightly ajar. You remember how it creaked last night. Inside, the monitors hum, except one. The black screen blinks once, then flickers faintly. Static, like something trying to come back. You reach for the keyboard, hands trembling. But before you can touch it, "Thought I told you to stay gone." Tyler's voice freezes you in place. You turn slowly. He's leaning against the doorway, casual in sweatpants, sipping orange juice straight from the carton. "Got lost," you say evenly. "Old habits," he smirks. "Yeah, like scratching paint jobs?" You tilt your head. "Funny." I was about to say the same. For a split second, his expression falters. Just long enough for you to know you've hit something. He sets down the carton and steps closer. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know that camera didn't shut itself off," you reply softly. "And I know someone was in that garage before your father found the scratch." He scoffs, but his voice tightens. "You think anyone's gonna believe you over me?" You glance toward the dark monitor. "I don't need them to believe me. I just need the camera to remember." For the first time, he looks nervous. "Get out." You hold his gaze a moment longer, then walk past him, deliberately slow, calm, unshaken. As you leave, you hear him mutter under his breath, "She won't stop, will she?" No, you won't. That evening, back in your apartment, you stare at the laptop again. You replay the reflection frame over and over. The camera angle catches only a fraction of his face, but the smirk is distinct. You overlay timestamps, note the seconds. The missing minute still haunts you. Why the feed cut right before Grant stepped outside. Then you remember something Miguel said. Truth only matters when it's convenient for the powerful. But sometimes, you think, it can become inconvenient enough to force their hand. You grab your phone and dial the local labor rights office, a small, underfunded place where you once volunteered to clean. "Good morning, Equal Employment and Fair Treatment Bureau," a tired voice answers. "Hi," you say, steadying your tone. "I'd like to report wrongful termination, and I have evidence that might interest your legal team." The woman pauses. Evidence. You glance at the laptop, at the frozen reflection. Footage. And a name. There's silence on the line, then a shift in tone. "Can you bring it in tomorrow?" "Yes," you say quietly. "But I'll need help getting the rest." At that same moment across town, Grant pours himself another scotch, watching the evening news. A story about workplace discrimination flashes briefly. He changes the channel, annoyed. "People sue for anything these days," he mutters. Tyler, lounging nearby, looks up from his phone. "Yeah," he says slowly. "Anything. For a flicker of a moment, something like guilt crosses his face. Grant doesn't see it. But the mansion's cameras do. One by one, tiny red lights blink back to life, including the one above the garage. No one notices the faint mechanical click as its backup drive begins recording again. Quietly, patiently, like an unblinking witness waking from sleep. People still argue whether truth ever really dies. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just waits for the right moment to play itself back. Morning light paints your small apartment in muted gold. The coffee machine hums, its quiet rhythm breaking the silence. You're dressed neatly, not like a maid anymore, but like someone with purpose. The laptop bag rests by the door. You glance at the photo of Henry on your shelf, the one where he's smiling in his work overalls. Grease on his hands. "Wish me luck," you whisper. Then you step out. At the Equal Employment and Fair Treatment Bureau, the air smells faintly of paper and burnt coffee. The receptionist greets you with a kind but weary smile. "You called about a wrongful termination?" "Yes," you reply, placing the USB on the counter. "But it's not just that. There's more to it. And I think it's on this." They lead you into a small interview room, peeling paint, a flickering light, the hum of a tired fan. Across from you sits Officer Raymond Blake, a patient man with the kind of tired eyes that have seen too many unfair cases and too few wins. He listens quietly as you explain what happened. The accusation, the firing, the camera outage, when you finish, he leans back. "You said you have video proof?" "Part of it. But the rest is still on the mansion system, the one they said went dark." He nods. "If they tampered with evidence tied to a firing, that's serious." "You sure you want to push this? These people have lawyers." "I don't need lawyers," you say softly. "I just need the truth to play once." Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the day feels heavier than usual. Clouds crawl across the sky, dulling the shine of the Bentley in the driveway. Mrs. Doyle walks the perimeter with a clipboard. She's been uneasy since your visit yesterday. The air feels charged, like the calm before something breaks. As she rounds the corner, she spots Miguel, the gardener, kneeling near the rose bushes. He's adjusting the small solar-powered camera hidden in the flower bed. "Morning, Miguel," she says gently. "What's that?" "New system," he says, smiling faintly. "I put it up after the mess yesterday." She tilts her head. "You had this running?" He looks up at her, eyes calm. "Always. You never know when truth wants to be seen." Later that afternoon, you return to the bureau, greeted by Raymond's raised eyebrows. "You won't believe this," he says, gesturing to his monitor. "One of your co-workers and the gardener just sent us footage from his personal security cam. Your heart skips." "Miguel?" He nods. "Yep, and it shows something interesting." He hits play. The screen flickers to life. The same driveway, the same white Bentley gleaming under sunlight. Timestamp, 11:46 a.m., the moment before everything went wrong. The frame widens. Tyler walks into view, sunglasses on, twirling the car keys. He leans against the door, pretending to take a call. Then he fumbles. Keys scrape paint. He flinches, looks around, panic flashing across his face. He bends down, examines the damage, and then smirks. Seconds later, he pulls his phone and types something, the message likely summoning his father. You feel your throat tighten. Raymond pauses the footage. "That your scratch?" You shake your head slowly. "No, that's his," he nods. "We'll log this. But you said there's still a missing minute from the mansion's official footage?" "Yes," you say. "I think I know where it is." That evening, you return to the mansion once more, this time escorted by Raymond and his tech officer. The guard looks confused, but steps aside when shown the warrant. Inside, Grant is waiting in the grand foyer, a forced smile on his face. "This is highly irregular," he says coldly. "You can't just barge in." "We're not barging," Raymond replies evenly. "We're retrieving employment-related video data under Section 18 of the Labor Protection Act." Grant's jaw tightens. "What's the meaning of this, Maria?" You meet his eyes. "It means the cameras you said were broken might have been more honest than the people watching them." The words hang in the air like thunder before rain. They follow the wires into the control room. The monitors glow dimly, looping the same old footage. But when Raymond's tech plugs in his drive, one hidden file pops up, time-stamped just a few seconds after the cut. Grant blinks. That's impossible! The officer clicks play. Static fills the screen, then clears, showing Tyler pacing near the car, panicked. He runs his hand through his hair, muttering to himself. Then he looks straight at the camera and says under his breath, "He'll believe me. He always does. You don't move. Don't breathe." The room feels suddenly smaller. Grant's face drains of color. "Tyler." His son stammers, "Dad, she..." But the footage keeps rolling. The sound of footsteps, then Grant's voice yelling in the distance. "What happened to my car?" Tyler straightens his shirt, wipes the panic from his face, and points toward the house. It was her. The maid. The clip freezes there, on that exact moment, a perfect lie, caught forever. No one speaks for several seconds. The only sound is the soft hum of the monitors. Then you exhale, quiet, controlled. That's the missing minute, you say. Grant doesn't look at you, just at the floor, as though realizing the weight of every arrogant word he'd spoken. Mrs. Doyle, standing by the door, mutters almost to herself. The camera didn't lie. We did. You turn to leave, whispering, "Not anymore." As you step outside, Miguel is waiting near the gate. He gives a small nod, holding out something in his hand. Your old apron, freshly washed. You left this, he says. You smile faintly, taking it. Maybe it's time I stop wearing uniforms, he grins. Or maybe you just earned a better one. You both watch as the police cars roll up the driveway. Truth, it seems, has finally clocked in. Rain starts falling just as the police cars fade behind you, soft and steady like the world trying to rinse itself clean. You walk home under your small umbrella, apron folded in your arm, feeling the strange mix of victory and emptiness that comes when justice finally knocks. Late, but loud. The city smells like wet asphalt and second chances. By the time you reach your apartment, your phone buzzes. We'll need your official statement tomorrow, Officer Raymond. You set the phone down, exhale, and let the silence stretch. Then you pull out the old metal lunchbox from under your bed. Inside, bills, a small notebook, and a second USB drive, the one no one else knows about. You plug it into your laptop. The screen lights up with folders labeled Staff Hall A, Garage West, Driveway Camera 3. You'd been backing up small clips for weeks, a quiet habit. After years of watching staff get blamed for things they never did, every time Mrs. Doyle asked you to clean near the CCTV room, you'd quietly copy one camera's feed onto your personal drive. Insurance, you told yourself. Not for revenge, for survival. And now, that missing minute, you already had it. You just needed to wait until they showed their hand. Cut to the next morning. A gray courtroom-style hearing room at the bureau. Long tables, fluorescent lighting, the faint buzz of an old ceiling fan. Grant sits beside his lawyer, pressed suit, sharp jawline, the kind of face that still expects control. Tyler slumps next to him, eyes darting between the floor and his phone. Across the room you sit with Officer Raymond, calm, collected, no uniform, no apron, just you. The board chair clears her throat. We've reviewed preliminary evidence, including external footage from a source named Miguel Torres and additional data recovered from your own USB copy. Miss Alvarez, Grant's lawyer interjects. That footage is stolen property. Raymond cuts him off. Correction. It's a safety copy from her own workspace camera. Under the employee privacy and safety provision, she's entitled to retain footage that includes her image or workspace. Grant's jaw tightens. You look straight ahead, unflinching. The chair continues. The footage confirms that Ms. Alvarez did not damage the vehicle. In fact, the damage occurred due to mishandling by Mr. Tyler Doyle immediately prior to her dismissal. Furthermore, the official footage was intentionally edited before submission. A murmur ripples through the room. Tyler's phone slips from his hand. Grant's lawyer whispers furiously, "You sit perfectly still. You've learned that silence sometimes roars louder than any defense. Then comes the part that no one expected." Raymond presses play on your USB's last clip. Time stamped 30 minutes. Before the car incident, it shows Tyler in the garage with his friend bragging, "Watch this." Dad freaks out if anyone even breathes near that Bentley. Maybe I'll blame the maid. See if he still thinks she's his little charity case. Grant turns slowly toward his son. The silence is crushing. Then, Grant exhales a tremor. The kind that sounds like shame wearing a suit. "Tyler," he says quietly. "You lied?" Tyler's voice breaks. "I didn't think... I just..." Grant cuts him off, his face pale. "No, you did think. You thought she was too small to fight back. You don't speak. You just let the moment sit there, heavy as truth itself." After the hearing, as the board announces reinstatement and damages, Grant approaches you outside the bureau. The sky is clear now, that unsettling kind of blue after a storm. "Maria," his tone is different, human, humbled. "I was wrong." You look at him, steady. "You were certain?" He nods, swallowing hard. "I let my anger and my pride blind me. I'm sorry. For a second you see not the millionaire, not the man who fired you in rage, but a father realizing the rot he passed down. I'm not the one who needs your apology." You say quietly. "Your son does." He nods again, eyes low. "He will." That night back home, you get a call from an unknown number. You almost ignore it, but curiosity wins. "Ms. Alvarez?" a woman's voice asks. "This is Evelyn Chambers from the Doyle Foundation. We're reviewing internal staff management and we'd like to offer you a position in compliance training. Full-time." You blink. "You want me to train the people who fired me?" There's a pause, then a small laugh. "Exactly that. We'd rather you teach them what accountability looks like, since you just gave us the perfect case study." You smile, half in disbelief. "I'll think about it. Please do," she says gently. Sometimes the best teachers are the ones who live the lesson. Later that evening, you visit Miguel's modest workshop. He's repairing a lawnmower, humming quietly. He looks up when you enter. "I heard," he says with a grin. "You made them eat their lies," you laugh softly. "Something like that." "Good. Maybe next time they'll think twice before blaming hands that clean what they break." You hand him a small envelope, his share of the legal compensation. "You helped me more than you know," he waves it off. "I just planted cameras. You planted courage. Then maybe we both grew something." He nods toward your apron, still folded on the counter. "So what now?" You glance at it. The symbol of years of quiet servitude, of every unspoken apology you gave to people who never deserved it. "Now," you say. "I'm done wiping away other people's messes," he chuckles. That's the spirit. You step out into the evening air, the city lights reflecting in small puddles like scattered mirrors. For the first time in a long time, you see your reflection and don't look away. Justice didn't come easy. It never does. But this time, it came true. And deep down, you smile knowing the real twist wasn't the footage. It was you. You were never just the maid. You were the witness, the recorder, the quiet archivist of truth, waiting for her frame to play. And when it did, the whole world finally saw what dignity looks like when it fights back. The next morning, you wake up to a phone vibrating nonstop. At first, you think it's a wrong number, until you see the caller ID, Local News Network 7. Then another call. "Good morning, Atlanta." Then a text from Raymond. They aired it. Be ready. You sit up fast, still in your robe, and flick on the TV. The morning host's voice floats through your small apartment, calm, professional, but laced with that tone reserved for stories that sting. A local millionaire's son has been caught on camera staging property damage and blaming a domestic worker. The footage, verified by investigators, shows the maid, Maria Alvarez, was wrongfully terminated after an edited video was submitted to management. They play it, the clip, the one you've already seen 100 times, but this time, the world's watching. At the Doyle mansion, chaos blooms like ivy through stone. Cameras flash outside the gates. News vans clog the street. Grant's publicist hurries through the front door with 2 cell phones and a folder full of damage control statements. Inside, Grant stands by the window, face pale, jaw tight. His empire, built on spotless reputation, suddenly looks fragile. Tyler paces near the stairs, phone in hand, reading comment after comment. Rich brat sets up Maid. Justice for Maria Alvarez. Boy learns privilege isn't a get-out-of-truth card. He throws the phone on the couch, eyes wet. Grant doesn't yell this time. He just looks at his son and says quietly, "You broke more than paint. Tyler, you broke trust." For the first time, the boy doesn't argue. Meanwhile, your phone buzzes again, this time from someone unexpected. Mrs. Doyle. You hesitate before answering. "Maria," she says softly, her voice trembling. "I don't expect you to forgive us, but I wanted you to know I quit today. I should have spoken up sooner. I saw the way he treated you. I told myself it wasn't my place." "That's a lie, too. You breathe in slowly, steady. Sometimes silence hurts louder than words." She sighs. "You were always kind. Even when we weren't." Her voice cracks slightly. "Thank you for reminding me what grace looks like." You hang up, staring at the phone for a long moment, thinking of all the people who stayed silent until the cameras turned on. Later that week, you walk into the Doyle Foundation building, not as a cleaner, but as a guest speaker. The same guards who once ignored you now stand straighter when you enter. Inside, the conference room buzzes with tension. A row of executives sits across from you, faces polite but uneasy. Evelyn Chambers, the woman who'd called before, welcomes you warmly. "Miss Alvarez, thank you for agreeing to this. Our employees have seen the story. Many needed to." You nod, settling in. "People think this story's about revenge," you say. "It's not. It's about power. What happens when it's used without respect?" A man in a navy suit clears his throat. "If you could summarize what went wrong in your situation." You smile faintly. "They forgot that people who clean their world still live in it." A pause. Then applause. Hesitant at first, then genuine. Outside afterward, as you step into the bright afternoon light, a teenage girl runs up. She's wearing a janitor's uniform, the name tag reading Elena. "Ms. Alvarez," she says shyly, "I just wanted to say, my mom works nights. She said watching your story made her proud again. People used to call her just a cleaner. Now she says, that's what Maria was, too." Your throat tightens. You smile. "Tell your mom she's not just anything. She's the backbone." Elena nods, teary-eyed, before running back inside. You stand there a moment, letting the sunlight warm your face. Sometimes redemption doesn't roar. It ripples. That night, back at your apartment, you scroll through social media. Your name trends, clips of you speaking, hashtags rising like a wave. But amid the noise, one video catches your eye, a shaky, handheld vlog by Tyler Doyle. His face looks pale, honest, scared. "I lied," he says, eyes directly into the camera. "I blamed someone who didn't deserve it. And I thought my dad's name would protect me. It didn't. Ms. Alvarez, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, truly." You pause the video, staring at the frozen frame. His apology isn't perfect, but it's real. You whisper, "That's a start." Later, you find yourself back near the mansion. Not inside, just across the street, standing by the same iron gate where it all fell apart. Through the bars, you can see the Bentley, freshly repainted, flawless again. But this time, there's something taped to the dashboard, a small handwritten note. "Never again." You don't know who put it there. Maybe Grant, maybe Tyler, maybe Mrs. Doyle before leaving. But it doesn't matter. The point isn't who fixed the car, it's who fixed themselves. As you walk away, a thought lingers. People still argue whether money makes justice harder or easier. But the truth? Money can hide a lot until a single camera or a single conscience decides not to look away. And sometimes, that's all it takes to turn a maid into a movement. 3 months later, Atlanta's summer hums with heat and renewal. The cicadas sing outside your window, and your once cluttered apartment now carries new things. A second-hand desk, a framed letter of recognition from the bureau, and a modest plaque that reads, "For courage in the face of power, Maria Alvarez." You never wanted fame, only fairness. But sometimes fairness brings its own quiet spotlight. You glance at the mirror, pinning your badge for your new role, ethics compliance trainer, Doyle Foundation. The irony still makes you smile. You used to wipe the dust off these badges. Now, you wear one. Inside the Doyle Foundation headquarters, the energy feels different. Laughter in the hallways, no shouting from behind office doors. Grant isn't at the top anymore. He stepped down 2 months ago, citing personal reflection. Tyler's gone back to college, majoring in social work. And you? You stand in front of 30 new recruits, executives and assistants alike, leading the first official session on workplace integrity and respect. Let's begin, you say, clicking to the first slide. Behind you, on the screen, is an image frozen mid-frame, your old cleaning cart beside that infamous Bentley, sunlight cutting through the driveway. This, you say, pointing to the image, is not just where my story began. It's where it turned. The room is still. You tell them how easy it is to believe power equals truth, how bias hides behind manners and wealth. Most people don't start out cruel, you say softly. They start out comfortable. And comfort blinds faster than hate. A hand raises, a young intern, nervous. Ms. Alvarez, do you ever wish you'd just let it go? Moved on quietly? You think for a moment, then smile. No, quiet doesn't clean anything. It just lets the dirt settle. The room exhales a collective breath, half laugh, half lesson learned. After the session, Evelyn walks up to you, holding a manila envelope. Maria, she says with a warm grin, these just came in. You open it. Inside are letters. Dozens of them. From hotel staff, drivers, janitors, nannies, across states. I played your story in our staff meeting. My boss apologized for how she used to talk to us. You gave us proof we deserve respect. 2, you feel something shift. Not pride exactly, but a deep human relief. Proof that what you endured didn't just fix a lie, it healed something wider. Evelyn smiles. You started something you can't stop now. You okay with that? You laugh quietly. Guess I'll have to be. Later that week, an envelope arrives by mail. No return address. Inside, a small card. To Maria. Thank you for showing me what truth costs and why it's worth it. Tyler. Taped to the bottom is a photo of him volunteering at a local shelter. Sleeves rolled up, laughing with a group of kids. You trace the edge of the photo and whisper, good. Redemption doesn't erase what happened, but it redeems the time it stole. A few days later, you visit Miguel's garden. He's older, slower, but still smiling as he trims the hedges. He looks up when he sees you. So, Ms. Celebrity, he teases. You forget about the little people? You laugh. You're the reason I'm not still cleaning up their lies. He gestures to the blooming rose bushes. Funny thing about truth, he says, snipping a stem. You bury it, it just grows back stronger. You take the rose he hands you, red, perfect, thorned. You ever regret putting that camera in the flower bed? He shakes his head. Regret saving a friend? Never. As the sun dips low, the sky turns honey and violet. You walk home slowly, passing the old Doyle mansion one last time. The gate is quiet. The house looks smaller now, not because it changed, but because you did. You stop at the curb, pull your phone from your bag, and record a short video, your final reflection. They say power protects people, but I learned something different. Power is temporary. Truth isn't. I wasn't just fighting for my name. I was fighting for everyone who's ever been told their story didn't matter. Turns out all it needed was to be heard. You upload it without hashtags, without polish. Just your voice, steady, calm, true. Within hours, it's shared thousands of times. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. That night, you sit by the window with a cup of tea, city lights flickering like candles across the skyline. Somewhere, a siren fades. A neighbor laughs. The world, for once, feels balanced. You close your eyes, and for the first time in a long time, you don't dream of what was taken from you, only of what you rebuilt. The proof played. The truth stayed. And the peace? It finally came. If this story reminded you that truth doesn't need power, it just needs proof, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Have you ever seen someone underestimated because of their uniform, accent, or where they come from? Tell us your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire our next viral tale of courage and justice. And here's a little challenge for the sharp-eyed viewers. There's a tiny moment around minute 7:18 when Maria wipes the Bentley's mirror that secretly reveals who really set up the hidden camera long before anyone mentions it. Watch that scene again and tell us what detail you caught. Only the most observant viewers will notice what Miguel does with his hand right after she walks away. Because in this mansion, even silence was recording the truth.